All right, so picture this. You give an AI some instructions, and boom, it creates a symphony, like paints a masterpiece, even writes a best-selling novel. Mind-blowing, right?
It is pretty amazing.
But then you kind of stop, and you're like, wait,
Yeah.
who owns the rights to that AI-generated masterpiece?
Yeah, that's the question on everyone's mind, and it's not an easy one to answer.
Yeah, luckily, though, you shared this report with us from the U.S. Copyright Office called Copyright and Artificial Intelligence Part 2, Copyrightability. And it really digs right into this kind of tricky intersection of AI and copyright law.
It does.
So it was published in January 2025, and it's been making waves ever since. So what's the big takeaway? Like, can AI-created content actually be copyrighted under U.S. law?
So the report really digs deep into this idea of human authorship, which is the foundation of U.S. copyright law. And they actually use this phrase, spark of human creativity. To emphasize that copyright is all about protecting that unique human element. AI, at least for now, is seen as a tool that can help us express our creativity, but not as an independent creator itself.
Okay, that makes sense, but doesn't it get a lot more complicated, like in practice? What if I spend weeks fine-tuning prompts, tweaking the AI's output, pouring my heart and soul into kind of guiding it to create something really amazing?
Yeah, you've hit on a key point. The report acknowledges that people put a ton of effort into working with AI. But it emphasizes that copyright rewards originality and expression, not just effort.
Got it.
So it's not about how much time you spend. It's about that unique creative spark.
So it's not as simple as like, I told the AI what to do, therefore I own it. It's more nuanced.
Much more nuanced.
Okay.
The report uses a great analogy to illustrate this. Imagine you tell a musician, hey, write me a sad song about lost love. You've provided the inspiration, the general idea, but you didn't actually compose the music right.
The musician brings their own creativity and skills to the table.
Exactly, and it's the same with AI. Just giving it prompts doesn't automatically make you the author of the output. The AI is doing a lot of the heavy lifting, the processing, the actual creation based on its algorithms and training data.
So the AI isn't just a puppet, it's more like a collaborator. But one with a very complex and sometimes unpredictable creative process.
That's a great way to put it, and that unpredictability is actually highlighted in the report.
Interesting.
They call AI a black box because even when you give it very specific instructions, it can still surprise you with its output.
You mean like it might go off script?
Exactly. There's a fascinating example in the report using an image of a cat. They fed the AI a very detailed prompt. It was something like a bespectacled cat in a robe reading a newspaper smoking a pipe.
Wow.
They specified the style, the lighting, every little detail they could think of.
Talk about a specific vision. So what happened? Did the AI nail it?
Well, it created an image that matched most of the prompt, but with one very interesting addition.
Okay, what's that?
The AI included a human hand holding the newspaper. And that detail was not in the prompt at all.
Hold on. So even with a super detailed prompt, the AI still added its own little twist that's both fascinating and a bit unnerving, right? You think you're in control, and then it throws this curveball.
It definitely highlights the complexities of AI as a creative force. Makes you wonder, where does the AI's interpretation end and the human's creative input begin? And this ties back to that core concept of authorship that the report keeps coming back to.
It's like the report is saying, hold on, we need to be really clear about what we mean by human creation when AI is involved.
Precisely. And to your earlier point, what about situations where you feed the AI your own creative work as input? Like, say you're an artist and you sketch a character, and then you use AI to turn that sketch into a photorealistic image.
That's a question a lot of artists are grappling with these days. Would they own the copyright to that final image, even though the AI did a lot of the work?
The report directly addresses this type of scenario, and it's actually good news for artists. They say that you would still own the copyright to your original expression in that final output.
Interesting.
So in the case of your sketch, the copyright to your original character design would be protected.
So it's like the AI is creating what copyright law calls a derivative work. It's building on top of my original creation.
You got it. And a derivative work is still protected by copyright. As long as it's based on an original work that you own the rights to.
That's a relief. But what about those AI-generated parts of the image, like the added photorealism or details that weren't in my initial sketch? Are those elements protected at all?
That's where things get even more interesting.
Okay.
Based on this report, it seems like those AI-generated editions on their own wouldn't be copyrightable.
Okay.
It's as if the report is saying that AI is extending your human expression.
But it's not independently creating its own expression that would qualify for copyright protection.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here.
Yeah.
The AI is a powerful tool, but when it comes to copyright, it's an extension of human creativity, not a replacement for it.
Exactly. And it's not just the U.S. grappling with these questions. The report highlights how other countries are wrestling with the same issues.
So this is an international conversation.
Absolutely.
It's interesting.
For example, countries like Korea and Japan are also emphasizing the importance of human involvement in the creative process.
So even with different cultures and legal systems, that core concept of human creativity seems to be a common thread.
It definitely seems to be a universal principle, even in China, where they're really pushing the boundaries with AI. A recent court case upheld the idea that an AI tool can't be considered the author of a copyrighted work.
Wow, that's pretty significant. But wait, I remember reading something about the UK having a different approach, something about a law specifically for computer-generated works. You're right, the UK does have a law that's been on the books for a while, and it's quite unique. It actually protects works created by computers where there's no human author.
So they're ahead of the curve in a way.
Yeah.
Recognizing that computers can create things without direct human input.
You could say that, but even the UK is recognizing that this law, which was written before the rise of sophisticated AI, might need some tweaking to address the nuances of AI-generated content.
Makes sense. It's a constantly evolving landscape.
It is.
So even with these different approaches, it seems like internationally everyone's asking the same fundamental question.
Yeah.
What does authorship really mean in the age of AI?
Exactly. And while there might be some variations in how different countries apply their laws, that underlying principle that human creativity is essential for copyright protection seems to be a shared understanding.
Interesting. It's reassuring to know that there's at least some global consensus on this.
Yeah.
Even if, like, the specifics are still being worked out. But I'm guessing not everyone agrees with this whole, like, human authorship is key idea.
Of course not.
There must be some people who are pushing for AI to get more recognition, legally speaking.
You're absolutely right. There are definitely different viewpoints on this, and it's a debate that's only going to heat up as AI gets more advanced. Some experts argue that giving AI-generated content legal protection would actually boost creativity and innovation.
Really? How so? I would think that recognizing AI as an author would discourage human artists.
That's a common concern, but think of it this way. If we protect AI-generated content, it would incentivize more research and development of these incredible tools.
I see where you're going with this. So the idea is that by protecting the output, it encourages people to create even better AI systems.
Exactly.
Which in turn leads to more creative possibilities for everyone.
A win-win situation. Humans would have access to even more powerful creative tools, leading to new art forms, new music, new ways of expressing ourselves that we can't even imagine yet.
I can see how that argument would be appealing to some people, especially those who see AI as a force for good. A way to augment our own creativity.
Precisely. But as you might expect, there's a counter-argument. And it's a powerful one.
Let me guess. Some people are worried that recognizing AI as a creative force would kind of undermine human creativity in the long run.
That's the big fear. The concern is that if AI can churn out works that are just as good, if not better, than what humans can create, why would humans even bother? What happens to the artists, the musicians, the writers who have spent years honing their craft?
That's a valid point. If I knew I was competing with a supercomputer that can generate 1,000 symphonies and the time it takes me to write one bar of music, I'd probably feel a bit discouraged.
Exactly. And there are economic concerns as well. Who benefits most from this shift? Is it giant tech companies who control the AI, or is it individual artists? Those are some tough questions to grapple with.
No easy answers there.
It
seems like this debate goes beyond legal definitions. It touches on some fundamental questions about what it means to be human, to be creative.
You've hit the nail on the head. It makes you rethink the very essence of art, of creativity, of ownership.
So given all of these complex arguments and differing viewpoints, where we go from here, What does the report recommend we actually do?
Well, one of the most surprising things about the report is that it actually recommends a wait-and-see approach.
Really?
They argue that we can address most of these AI-related copyright questions using our current laws.
So no need to rush into creating brand new legislation or like throwing out the entire copyright system.
That's what they seem to be suggesting.
Okay.
The report reiterates that copyright is about protecting human expression.
Mm-hmm.
Even when AI is involved, the focus should be on the human's creative choices and their unique contribution.
Okay, that makes sense, but wait and see doesn't mean doing nothing, right?
Of course not. They outline several concrete steps we can take.
Okay.
First and foremost, the report calls for more education.
Okay.
The public needs clear guidance on how copyright applies to AI with real-world examples they can understand.
So like this deep dive?
Exactly.
But maybe with even more catchy cat pictures.
We need to demystify the legal jargon and explain these concepts in a way that makes sense to everyone, not just legal experts.
Right.
The report also recommends updating existing copyright resources.
Okay.
Like the Compendium of U.S. Copyright Office Practices to include specific guidelines on AI.
That seems like a practical step.
Yeah.
Having those clear guidelines in place would be helpful for everyone involved.
Absolutely. And finally, the report stresses the importance of ongoing research and monitoring.
Okay.
We need to keep a close eye on how AI is evolving and how these advancements impact creativity and copyright. It's a constantly moving target.
So it's like the report is saying, okay, here's what we know now, but stay tuned because things are about to get even more interesting.
That's a great way to put it. This isn't a one-and-done situation. We need to be flexible and adaptable, ready to adjust copyright law as needed to keep pace with these rapid advancements.
Now, while all of this is super interesting, I'm curious about what this means in practice. Are there any real-world cases that illustrate these complex issues?
There is one case that really stands out. It caused quite a stir in the creative community.
Right.
You might recall the comic book Zarya of the Dawn.
Vaguely refresh my memory.
The author used AI-generated images to create the visuals. And it raised a lot of questions about copyright.
Yeah.
The Copyright Office did end up registering the copyright for the comic. But with a huge caveat.
What was that?
They only protected the human author's arrangement of the images with their text, the story they created. The AI-generated images themselves were not granted copyright protection.
Wow. So the human element was really what tipped the scales.
Yeah.
It wasn't enough to just use AI-generated images.
Right.
The author had to add their own creative layer, their own unique expression.
Exactly, and that really reinforces what we've been discussing.
Right.
It's the human choices, the arrangement, the story, the overall vision that ultimately determine what's copyrightable.
That's a really powerful example. It shows how these legal concepts play out in the real world.
It also highlights how the lines are blurring.
Yeah.
As AI gets more sophisticated.
Right.
It becomes more difficult to separate the human contribution from the AI's role in the creative process.
Which makes me wonder, could there be a point where AI's contribution is so significant that it's considered a co-creator, blurring those lines even further?
That's the billion-dollar question that's keeping legal experts up at night.
Right.
Could we reach a point where AI's role is so integral to the creation that it's no longer just a tool, but a partner in the creative process? It's a mind-boggling concept to consider.
It definitely raises some philosophical questions about the nature of creativity, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and it makes you wonder if AI does become a co-creator.
Yeah.
What would that mean for copyright?
Right.
Who would own the rights? The person who designed the AI? The user who provided the prompts? It's uncharted territory.
I'm already feeling my brain doing backflips trying to wrap my head around all of this.
Yeah.
But I think it's safe to say that for now, at least, according to this report, human creativity is still at the heart of what copyright law is trying to protect.
I agree. The report offers some much-needed clarity in a rapidly evolving field.
Right. And it's also clear that this is just the beginning of a much larger conversation.
Absolutely. As AI keeps pushing the boundaries.
Right.
We're going to have to keep reevaluating our understanding of creativity authorship and what it means to protect those concepts in a world where AI plays an increasingly significant role.
Well, speaking of pushing boundaries,
Yeah.
the report focused mainly on visual and written works, right? Are there other creative fields where this debate is heating up?
Oh, definitely. One area that's particularly interesting and perhaps even more complex is AI-composed music.
Oh, right. I've heard about algorithms that can generate entire musical pieces, even symphonies.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it also raises even more questions about copyright.
Okay.
For example, if an AI can create a chart-topping hit song, who actually owns the rights?
Who does? Is it the person who designed the AI, the one who fine-tuned its algorithms?
Yeah.
Or the user who maybe just typed in, make me a catchy pop song?
Those are the kinds of questions that are going to keep lawyers and musicians busy for years to come.
Right.
It really illustrates how this debate goes way beyond just visual art and writing. It touches on every aspect of human creativity.
I bet there are some musicians out there who are both excited and terrified by the possibilities.
Right.
It's like, wow, AI could be my songwriting partner.
Yeah.
But also, wait a minute, is it going to replace me altogether?
It's a fascinating dilemma, isn't it? And it's just one example of how AI is pushing us to rethink our relationship with creativity.
Right.
And the very notion of what it means to create something original.
Yeah, it really feels like we're on the verge of a whole new era.
It does.
And we're still figuring out the rules of the game as we go. But before we wrap up, I have to ask, did anything in this report really surprise you?
You know what surprised me most is just how much common ground there seems to be on this issue, both in the U.S. and internationally.
Right.
There's a widespread recognition that AI is something fundamentally different. And yet the existing legal systems might just be robust enough to handle it.
Right.
At least for now.
Yeah. It makes you realize that copyright law at its core is really about protecting that essential human element of creativity.
Absolutely.
No matter what tools we use to express ourselves.
Whether it's a paintbrush, a musical instrument, or a sophisticated AI system, that spark of human ingenuity is what truly matters. And you, our listener, are at the heart of that. It's your creative choices, your unique perspectives that make this whole conversation so fascinating.
This deep dive has my head buzzing with what-if scenarios.
Yeah.
It's like we're standing on the edge of this vast, uncharted territory of AI-powered creation.
Yes.
And it's both exhilarating and a little bit daunting.
It's an incredible time to be alive. And that's why these conversations are so crucial.
Right.
We need to be exploring these ideas, challenging assumptions, and ensuring that copyright law continues to serve its core purpose to encourage and protect human creativity.
Well said. So for our listeners out there,
Yeah.
what's the one key takeaway you really want them to walk away with?
Here's the bottom line. Copyright is designed to protect human expression, not just the tools we use. So as you dive deeper into this world of AI-generated content, remember that your unique creativity, your choices, your perspective, that's what truly matters.
Beautifully put. And as you go about your day, we'll leave you with one final thought to ponder.
Okay.
It builds on what we've been talking about, but takes it to a whole other level.
All right.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Imagine this. An AI system that can analyze your emotions, your memories, even your dreams.
Whoa.
And translate them into a personalized symphony.
Wow.
A musical masterpiece that captures the essence of you.
Yeah.
Who would own the rights to that? Something to think about.
That is something to think about.
Whoa, okay, that's mind-blowing. We're definitely going to need another deep dive to unpack that one.
For sure.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey. And until next time, keep exploring, keep creating, and keep asking those big questions.
It's been a pleasure.